What's going on, y'all? If you're looking for the latest NFL news and rumors, you're in the right place. Tom Downey, Mitchell Renz here to break it all down for you. We got a lot of big-name players in this. Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz. We're going to talk about all of them. But the first thing that I want to jump into is maybe the Houston Texans have found their new GM, Nick Caserio.
It's Nick Caserio. That's all but officially signed at this point, so we're going to treat him as the official GM of the Houston Texans, which is interesting. There's a lot going on here behind the scenes for Houston now. We've mentioned Jack Easterby before on the show, Pastor Jack, as I'm going to call him going forward. He clearly has the ear of Texans ownership. Now, he kind of usurped some power and made his way from being a former just team pastor to being a clear power broker within the Houston Texans organization. Houston hired a a search firm to find their GM. Nick Caserio was not on the list. And then apparently on Sunday, Jack Easterby sits down with Cal McNair, the owner, is like, hey, you got to hire my buddy here, man. Because ownership was out there telling GM candidates, you get to decide what happens with Jack Easterby.
Unbelievable.
And Easterby got his man anyway. He's probably going to stick around afterward. So Caserio gets to be the new GM of the Texans, who they tried to hire a couple of years ago at the recommendation of Jack Easterby and Bill O'Brien, who, of course, has now been fired. So he's their new GM. They ignore the search firm altogether, and now Caserio and Easterby and ownership get to go find their new head coach, and oh, look, Mitch, it's another Patriots former front office member.
Which is why as soon as all this, I guess, news and rumors came out about Nick, well, there's a guy who I'd be really worried about if I was the Houston Texans not being very happy, and his name is Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't know what his tweet's about, but I can read cryptic tweets.
Look, you can't
Some
be throwing
things never change.
You can't be throwing out cryptic tweets
as soon as news comes
about as news comes out around your organization. Like if he had tweeted this like a day before, or a day later, I don't think anyone would have cared.
Exactly.
But the timing of it's like, oh, wait a minute here, that's a little awkward. Now maybe he is talking about something else. But if you're Deshaun Watson and you've made a big deal about, hey, I want to bring in Eric Bieniemy, and like you've publicly said, like, hey, Bieniemy would be a great hire for us because I talked to my buddy Mahomes and he loves him. And Houston has been the only NFL team to not request an interview for Eric Bieniemy. I think you got to be like, okay, he's fine, right?
I don't know, man. Like
I think he is. I hope he is.
Who, Deshaun?
I think he is, yeah.
I mean, I understand you just paid him a lot of money, but he's got a bright young future ahead, and you've seen basically this Houston Texans organization from their times with Bill O'Brien make dumb trades, make dumb moves in the draft. You have a solid piece here, and you are refusing to listen to him. You are refusing to try to build around him. And if I'm Deshaun Watson, hey, I will always respect the fact that you gave me a lot of money and the fact that you changed not only my life, my family's life, but at the end of the day, man, you're sitting here and you want to win, and you can't honestly look yourself, your teammates in the eyes and say, we have the right team to be able to do that. If I was Deshaun, I'd be like, all right, I want out.
But I think he also knew what he was getting himself into when he signed that extension.
Do you, though?
I think so. Because this is the some things never change stuff. So he already knew it. Therefore, he knew this was what was going on.
I don't think anybody predicted DeAndre Hopkins moves and all these. That's all this other Bill O'Brien
you're right.
bullcrap.
You're right. And that's very fair. I don't think Watson is going to be, after 1 year of bad seasons, going to be like, okay, I want out all of a sudden. Like, I think he's the type of guy that will give his new staff a chance. Now, if this continues, that's a different conversation. I don't think he's fully there yet.
Okay. So are the Texans the worst run NFL franchise?
No.
Y for yes, or type N for no. If you're going to type your N for no, just like Tom is, I want you to be an overachiever. Go down to the comments section and let me know who the worst run NFL franchise is. I agree with you, Tom. I am also going to type my N for no.
It's the Bengals.
Really?
Of course it is.
Oh, see, I'm going to disagree.
Who do you think it is?
I think it's the New York Jets.
I think it's the Bengals, man.
I don't know.
I think it's the Bengals.
See, the issue is Cincinnati.
There's ownership issues for both there. I'll give you that.
Cincinnati compared, no offense, to New York, and both New York teams have been pretty bad, but the New York Jets are a next level of bad. Like, next level of bad.
The Bengals are bad, too.
Man, I don't know. Let us know.
The issue is ownership doesn't spend in Cincinnati. Okay. That's a problem.
So, are the Texans the worst run NFL franchise? Y for yes or N for no? To everyone who's watching the show right now, as a reminder, we always go live Monday and Wednesdays, so make sure you guys are always checking out our shows. But if you love the NFL and you want more NFL videos, maybe on trades, free agency, and NFL mock drafts, then go ahead, hit that big red button that says subscribe. We have the best in the business, Tom Downey, and he just released his new 2021 NFL mock draft. Tom, tell him about it.
We go all 32 picks in the first round with the official draft order for those first 18 picks set. You guys can come complain about why I didn't mock your favorite player to your favorite team, or my favorite, which I haven't seen yet. Why is team so low in your draft order or so high in your draft order, even though it's based on the current playoff standings? But we'll have some fun in the comments section. And guess what, guys? We'll do plenty of them as the offseason continues, by the way.
So if you love the NFL draft, we've been the #1 most watched draft coverage on YouTube for 3 straight years. It's a lot because we're interactive. We have a lot of fun, but we also know what we're talking about. So seriously, hit that big red button that says subscribe. Let's go to the next story here, Tom. We're going to break down Cam Newton. And could he be on his way to Washington? So
speaking of bad run franchises,
seriously. So with Washington there, Adam Schefter was asked, hey, do you think he's going to go back to New England, and where do you think he could land? He said the most likely landing spot for Newton would be the Washington football
team.
Schefter
threw kind of a woe is me fit with this and was like, in my opinion, not a report, in my opinion, which like his opinions actually haven't been that great in recent years. Anyway, said Washington makes sense, which I agree with because of some uncertainty and, frankly, bad quarterback play. The note here was like, what do you think? They asked him, what do you think he could get?
Yeah.
And he's like, 2 years, $40 to $50 million with incentives, which is the going rate for a low-end starting quarterback.
Who is going to give Cam Newton 2 years, $40 to $50 million in incentives?
No one after what we just saw. And I get
no
it. The
way.
Patriots have a bad offensive supporting cast in terms of receivers, but
come on,
you can't be giving Cam Newton. And even if like the incentives are like, it's all based on production and they're all not likely to be earned, whatever, I don't see someone giving Cam Newton $20 million.
And they should.
I don't.
mean, Cam, I thought, started off the season great. You can say whether or not the whole COVID issue really slowed him down, because after that, he was a totally different quarterback.
Teams also adjusted their game plan this is a different Patriots offense, and we've seen this before. The 3 or 4 game hot start then suddenly cools off. It's not that uncommon in the end.
It was not pretty whatsoever for Cam Newton, for that offense. I mean, an offense that threw for 9 passing touchdowns the entire year. Sorry, that ain't going to get it done. So where will Cam Newton play in 2021? We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So for everyone who's watching on YouTube, you're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break. While the ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down in the comments section and let us know where will Cam Newton end up playing in 2021. Best guesses? Seriously. Go down in the comments and let us know where Cam Newton is going to play in 2021.
Let's talk. Go ahead, Mitch. Trevor Lawrence now. My bad.
No, you're good, brother. Let's get into the latest NFL news, rumors again around Trevor Lawrence. This might be surprising. He's going to the NFL draft. He's declared, Tom.
Shocking.
If you guys are surprised by that news, go ahead and like the video. Breaking.
Where are the people who were like, he shouldn't go pro because he shouldn't go play for the Jets, who then didn't get the #1 overall pick anyway?
Exactly.
Where are you guys at again?
They might be worse than the people that are like, did you see him play against Ohio State? He's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Those are the people that drive me nuts a little bit more. But
there is no guarantee.
We have that he's likely going to be the #1 overall pick in 2021. Would you be willing to bet your marriage that he's going to be the #1 pick?
I will never bet that.
Come on.
But also, yes.
But also, yes. I mean, as soon as he declared, we knew he's going to be the #1 overall pick, right? I mean, look at this tweet by Albert Breer, and he wasn't the only one.
Yeah,
this is back on December 27th. We know he is going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. And as soon as the #1 pick locked into Jacksonville, everyone started screaming Duvall. Everyone realized, okay, this is where it's going to be. But, Tom, did you have him going in your mock draft?
I don't know. Maybe. Only one way to find out.
How's that?
Go look at the video on YouTube.
Where can they do that?
On Chat Sports' YouTube. All you got to do is go to our most recent videos. We'll get the link in the live chat for you guys as well. It's our 2021 NFL mock draft. The thumbnail you'll see, it looks just like that one. Every first-round pick projected. And by the way, if you don't like that one, you can yell at me in the comment section, and we'll do plenty. Don't worry.
Seriously, go check it out. Go hit that big red button that says subscribe, because if you love off-season videos, if you love NFL draft videos, we're going to continue to make them here, because guess what? There's no days off for us, so hit that big red button. Let's look at some of these numbers now. Trevor Lawrence, 90 touchdowns, 17 interceptions.
You mentioned the whole one-game thing. We cannot allow ourselves to have a 3-year sample size of a quarterback who also, by the way, won a national championship. Who said that? And then be like, it's fine. Like, we're just going to throw out everything for one game. Trevor Lawrence has been awesome in his NFL or in his college football career. These numbers, and by the way, I think very importantly, his yards per attempt have gone up consistently. It's impressive. What that man has been able to do in his time at Clemson is nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah.
It is truly some of the best work we've seen out of a young, promising quarterback. I am hyped to see what Trevor Lawrence does in the NFL. That is not to say that he's going to end up being the perfect quarterback or that there isn't even a bust potential.
I mean, everybody has some bust potential, but I'll say this. I haven't seen this much hype around a quarterback prospect, honestly, since Andrew Luck. I mean, you and I have had debates even last year. Who would you take, Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow? And there was a few times we're like, oh, maybe we would take Trevor Lawrence. I mean, since this kid has come out of high school, he's been it. He's been the number one pick, and he's ended up going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, obviously, this team 1-15 this past year, 15-game losing streak, which just sounds weird to say. Predict the Jags' 2021 record. I know it's tough to do, but how much better is this team with a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence? Does it add 2-3 wins?
Well, the best quarterbacks compared to like just replacement level guys, which I think Jacksonville got a little bit worse than replacement level quarterback play across this season, are really worth about 3. That's like your kind of your high end, top end quarterbacks. It's about what actually the Cowboys saw between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton this past season. So in terms of if they don't change anything else in the roster, you're probably hoping for about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But this team has a lot of draft picks and a ton of cap space.
Correct.
Now, I don't think they're going to suddenly become the best team in the AFC South, but I think year one, I think a 6-10 mark is probably around what you're searching for in terms of like realistic. If we upgrade enough and expect some growing pains from a young franchise quarterback, I think 6-10 is very doable for them.
Yeah, I'm with you. A quarterback that used to be considered a franchise quarterback. It's Carson Wentz, and is a trade coming for the guy out of Philadelphia?
I think yes. Now, there's some weird conflicting reports. There was the ESPN one of Wentz won't return to Philadelphia. He wants a trade. And there was an AP report of, well, actually, that hasn't happened yet, and then he might change his mind. And we're all over the map. I think we can read the tea leaves, though, here and go.
Yeah, we can.
Philadelphia benched Wentz. He wasn't happy. The players didn't really throw much of a hissy fit about it either, by the way, which I think is important. They had the other players, and he was bad. And there were the reports of Wentz was upset that they drafted a quarterback and didn't feel supported because he's, I think, soft mentally and kind of physically at times too. His mechanics are broken. I think the obvious outcome here, be it next month or 2 months or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it ends up being, is Wentz gets dealt.
And he needs to get dealt. And I mean, if Carson Wentz can honestly sit here and say that I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles supported me, they gave you a 4-year contract worth $128 million. They decided to keep you and not Nick Foles, the quarterback that ended up winning them the Super Bowl. I'm frustrated with this because I told all my Philly friends that, you know what, Carson Wentz, you should keep him. He's the better option than Nick Foles.
Which was still correct because Nick Foles has been even worse.
And I agree with that. However, I've been ashamed of the way that Wentz has played and the way that he has represented the city of Philadelphia because those are tough fans, and there's nothing tough about Carson Wentz. That's the bottom line. So here's some potential Wentz destinations if he does end up getting dealt. I think the most likely situation is the Indianapolis Colts, but then it's Patriots, 49ers, Bears, Steelers. Those aren't any rankings, but we would both agree that the Indianapolis Colts, they're probably number one on our list.
There's the familiarity connection with Frank Reich. They're their head coach, who, of course, was the Eagles' offensive coordinator when Wentz was at his best.
Yep.
They have the cap space to make what in reality is a fairly difficult contract to really balance with the way that deal is set up, by the way. You're looking at a almost 2-year, $50 million deal if you trade for Wentz. Normally when you trade for a player, there's no more guaranteed money left, but Wentz's base salary for not this year but next year guarantees this offseason. It's what's called a rolling guarantee. So because of that, once you trade for Wentz, you're guaranteeing him a lot of next year's salary too. All of a sudden, you're kind of like,
is it worth it?
You're committing yourself to 2 years. And there are a lot of head coaches and front offices out there, and if they trade for a quarterback and he's bad for 2 years, they don't get to stick around. Now, the organization will be okay, but that decision maker for the organization might not get to be there.